Bomboloni, that's what we're making today. They are traditional Italian donuts, super pillowy and light and stuffed with delicious fillings like pastry cream or Nutella. They're very easy to make and I'm sure you're gonna love making them for your friends and family. Hello everybody, I'm Chef Sabrina. I teach you cooking and baking techniques through fun and delicious recipes like this one. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing and ring the bell. And let's get started. So bomboloni, like I said, are donuts, and I'm making this recipe today because today actually and yesterday was Carnaval or Carnevale, and even though bomboloni are traditional all year round, during Carnival Italians eat a lot of fried stuff. So it's like abundance, let's pig out during these days. And so especially if you're ever lucky enough to go to the Venice Carnival, which is absolutely beautiful, you'll see a lot of fried foods all over the place, like bomboloni in this case. You'll see zeppole, you'll see crostoli or chiacchiere. My grandmother used to call them crostoli, but it's like fried pasta dough dusted with powdered sugar and some balsamic vinegar sometimes as well. And anyway, you see a lot of fried food. So even though this is a fried item or fried pastry that you see all year round, I'm making this today just to celebrate Carnevale. Okay, so it's actually very easy. These are the ingredients. I have my flour and some cornstarch, water, my yeast, and the yeast should be just regular yeast, not fast rising, dry yeast. And if you'd like the conversion for fresh yeast, I can also put that on my website. Everything's gonna be on the website as well. Then I have eggs, milk, sugar, salt. I have vanilla paste. It can be also vanilla extract. And then I have a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg. And then I'm going to grate some orange zest as well. But the orange, the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the vanilla, you can vary those as you wish or add other spices that you like or just omit them. I wouldn't omit them completely because they do give a lot of really nice flavor, but you can control the quantities as you wish. By the way, the recipe will be on my website, through my Instagram also, through the link in profile, and I'll let you know in the description below how to reach that. So the process goes really quickly. If you've seen my class on how to make focaccia pugliese, you'll see that I put all of the wet ingredients on the bottom first, and then I finish with the dry. So in this case, I need to reactivate or rehydrate my yeast. And so what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to add the water and the milk, okay, in my bowl. So wet ingredients on the bottom. And then I'm gonna drizzle in, actually I'm gonna add a little pinch of my sugar, kind of like to feed the yeast. And then I'm gonna drizzle in my yeast. We're gonna give it a little stir, and we're gonna wait about 10 to 12 minutes until it begins to foam. And then when it begins to foam, then we know we can go on with the rest of the recipe. Okay, check it out. I think we're ready. Look at all those bubbles, okay? So that means the yeast is alive, active, and ready to go. Okay, so just like with the focaccia, like I said, wet ingredients on the bottom, and then we finish with the dry, okay? So I have my yeast and my water and my milk. I'm gonna add my sugar because that's gonna feed really the yeast a lot. It's not a bad idea to always crack your eggs on a different bowl just to make sure that they're okay. We don't wanna ruin the whole thing just because of one bad egg. So 2 eggs. Now, for the dry ingredients, I have here my flour and cornstarch. I'm gonna add my my nutmeg and my cinnamon. And then, in here, I'm gonna add the vanilla paste. And look, I also wanted to tell you that this is because I'm using the kind of yeast that you can find in the supermarket. But if you were able to find like the regular active yeast that you would use, in a restaurant or that you can buy in a restaurant supply store, you don't need to activate it. It's already ready to go. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to show you the butter. And I have the butter here in my fridge. That is also part of the recipe. And this one we're gonna add at the end, and we're gonna dump little bits of butter. As we mix it, kind of like a brioche, but I'll show you how that's done. And the zest, I'm going to add here to my flour. You could also make a pastry cream with orange. That would be very nice as well. Instead of adding it to the dough, you could also just add it to the pastry cream, and that would be very, very nice. All right, that's that. I'm gonna add this on top, and then the salt at the end. Okay, on top of the flour. Let me pick this up. Always working clean, working organized. It's just easier then. Okay, now, just like with the focaccia as well, I'm gonna start with the paddle attachment because it's just gonna go so much faster, and then we'll finish with the hook, or even you can just finish by hand. So it comes together really quickly. Let me just get my machine and let's get started with this. All right, this just came together in a minute. Look at that, okay? And so now I can start adding my butter. I'm going to switch to the hook and add my butter. Okay, so now, little by little, I'm going to start adding my butter. And it's nice if it's cool to the touch, but not cold. Sort of like when you make a brioche and you'll see that it looks broken, or that you're gonna think that it's not gonna come together, but it will. You just have to be a little patient. If you see that it's taking a little bit longer, you can just stop it for a little bit and then scrape it just to help it on the sides, on the hook, and then you can just keep going. See? It starts to come back together again. Okay, so my dough is ready. And here's the trick. A little trick for you. Vegetable oil on your surface, because we need to knead it by hand a little bit before we put it to proof or to ferment. And so if you add flour to your surface, then you're going to be adding flour to the recipe. And that's flour that it's actually not on the recipe. But if we add a little bit of vegetable spray to our surface, it doesn't stick, because it is a little sticky. The dough is a little sticky, okay? It doesn't stick, and we don't add any additional flour that we don't need, okay? See, it's a little stringy, but that's normal, okay? So let me put this here so you don't see it. All right, see, it just comes right out. Once we start kneading it, it will begin to stick, but we just need to add a little bit more, and that's it. And basically, you just, if you want to know how, you go like this, you let it like stretch, you bring it together, you kind of fold it over, and then you turn it around a quarter of the way, and then you do it again. And then a quarter of the way, and again. Quarter of the way, and again. And you repeat. How long? Not long. It actually doesn't need much. It looks beautiful just like this, actually. Then we do need to put it in a bowl so that it ferments for about 2 hours, okay? So let me just add a tiny bit more here because I want to give it a nice surface on top. Okay. And I'm going to make a little ball. Bring it towards me, bring it towards me. And then I'm actually gonna put, little baby's button. I'm gonna put some cooking spray also on my bowl. So as it ferments and rises, it doesn't stick to my bowl. Okay? Okay, and now just gonna put it here. I'm gonna add a little bit on the top, just like that. Cover it with plastic wrap, and here's another trick. I'm gonna put it in my oven. Since we're actually frying these, not baking them, I have my oven available. And so I usually add a little bit of boiling water. I boil some water in a little pot, and then I put it together with the dough in my oven, obviously a shot oven, not on. And the steam and the enclosure of the oven will allow it to proof really nicely, very steadily, and a little bit faster than if it was left outside, especially if it's cold outside where you are right now. It's gonna take longer. If you don't have an available oven, you can just cover it with plastic wrap and maybe 2 towels, and then put it on the warmest part of your kitchen or your house. Okay, so let me get going with that. And with the magic of YouTube, 2 hours have passed. And here I have my dough. Before I put it on my surface, I'm gonna move this so I have a little bit more space. And again, I'm gonna spray some vegetable oil. And look at how beautiful this is. It's super, super pillowy, and look, it's beautiful. So the only thing I'm gonna do is just pat it, okay? I have a rolling pin here, just to make it even, again, on top, so that we don't put more flour and the rolling pin doesn't stick. And I'm just gonna roll it a little bit. I can tell it's full of air. Usually I would move the dough, not move my rolling pin, but this one doesn't need much. Like, I don't really need to roll it too much. And then here, that should be good. Stay, okay. And then here I have my set of cutters. They're just plain round cutters. And this is the one I'm going to use, but honestly, you could use any size. Obviously, the smaller, the faster they will fry. But if you're having a little party, you could make like donut holes with the little one. Or you can make, you know, a huge one. That's gonna be big. But I'm gonna use this one, and I'll start cutting, okay? Just cut little rounds, and then put them on a sheet tray so that they can proof a little longer. All right, I'm gonna keep doing this and putting them on my tray to proof now. Don't roll it too much. You don't want it too thin, okay? Okay, so with these, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I'm gonna put them in my oven with some water, steaming water. And then this, I'm just gonna put together. See how I put them together? I'm not gonna knead them too much so that the gluten doesn't develop, or at least develops the least amount possible, so I don't get really hard donuts or bomboloni. So 1 bombolone, 2 or more bomboloni, okay? A little bit of an Italian lesson. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this here. I'm gonna put this in my oven, shot oven, remember, off. I'm gonna let them proof while I do the rest. Let's make some little ones. All right, the time that we have all been waiting for, or at least that I have been waiting for, because it's been an hour. And I'm now gonna start frying them, but just make sure that the oil, that you control the temperature of the oil really well, because since they have a lot of sugar, they tend to brown really quickly. But if you put the temperature too high, they're actually gonna brown without cooking inside. So you actually, it doesn't fry that fast. It takes a little bit of time. You have to be patient, because otherwise you're gonna think that they're done, but inside they haven't cooked yet. So I have my thermometer here, and I'm gonna take it to about 155 Celsius, which I think is like between 310 and 320 Fahrenheit. Around that temperature is fine. Anything higher than that, and we risk browning them too much. I'm just gonna wait one minute or 2 minutes. And then, so here, let me tell you what I have. I have 2 piping bags. One is already done with Nutella, and I have them in cups in case you don't feel too comfortable with piping bags. I have the tip facing up, okay, like that, so that, and it's twisted inside of the tip, So it holds the Nutella inside in this case. And I have a rubber band. If you don't feel comfortable leaving it open, you can always add a rubber band. And if you keep it like this, it's much easier than to not make a mess. And then here I have one for my pastry cream, which I made yesterday, and I'll show you in a second. And if you want the recipe for this is actually a nice video that I could do as well. So let me know if you want that. Let me check the temperature. It's 140, almost there, 148. And then here I have paper towels. I have another sheet tray with paper towels and then a bowl of sugar. Now you could, from the oil, dump it directly into the sugar, but it just makes the sugar a mess, and then after a few of them you get these lumps of fat and sugar, and that's not nice. So I'm just gonna place them on the paper towel for a second or two, and then once they are pat dry, then I add them to my sugar, and then back on the sheet tray, and then we fill them up. You could add the sugar after you fill it up, because your fingers as you fill it up are gonna get all full of sugar. But you can re-dunk them again. However, the thing is that the sugar attaches much better when the donuts or the bomboloni are warm, okay? So that's why I prefer to do it when they're still warm and not after they're filled. Okay, I think this is ready. Yes. So I'm gonna start adding them, and I'll show you how they look gently. Okay, we place them. You're not gonna burn yourself, don't worry. Now, just don't add too many at a time. Add maybe 3, depending on your pot. Notice that my pot is actually not too high, okay? It's kind of shallow. If it was too low, then I wouldn't be able to add enough oil. And if it was too high, then it's just way too much oil, and I'm gonna have to like be dunking and like be really reaching to get them out. So I'm adding, I think I can add 4 at a time, and that's enough. Okay, so they're gonna start frying, and I'm gonna show you closer how they look like. So I just put them in, they're floating. You can move the oil around a little bit if you want, just to make sure you get the sides as well, okay? Notice that they are frying slowly, not very fast, okay? Okay, and now I think we can turn them around. Yes. And if you see that the temperature starts to get way too high, you lower it so that they don't brown without cooking, okay? Okay, so now let's make sure that they're ready also on the first side. Look at that. Look at how beautiful. Huh? Oh yes, they look ready to me. Bomboloni. Okay, so they are ready. And I'm gonna take them out. Like I said, I'm gonna put them for a second on my paper towels, okay? And in the meantime, I can put another 4. Just be careful. My paper here. And let's add some more so that we keep the production going and there's no stop. Okay, so these, just a second so that they drain a little bit. They're hot. And I'm gonna put them now on the sugar. Give them a little sugar bath. Who wouldn't want that? I'm just gonna put them back on the original sheet tray so that they continue to cool down. All right. And we'll continue with the process. Okay, while those fry, I'm gonna get my pastry cream. Look at that. Look at this pastry cream, it's so good. I can show you how to make this too if you want. It's actually very easy. And bomboloni are actually one of my dad's favorite childhood treats from when he was a kid in Italy, living in Italy. So after this, I'm planning to go to my parents' house and bring them some. There we go. So I opened my piping bag. I twisted the tip and I put it upwards, okay? And I grab it with my finger so that the pastry cream doesn't like ooze out. In the meantime, I open the bag, yes, and I'm holding it like this. And now I'm gonna add some of the pastry cream inside. So nothing is gonna come out because I have it, first of all, the piping bag is actually twisted inside the tip, but then also I have it upwards, like I said. Okay, that's enough. Put it here. And then gently I bring it up. And like I said, if you don't feel comfortable just keeping it open and twisted, you can always add a rubber band, which I have here. Twist first, and then you add a rubber band. Okay? And I'm gonna put it in the other cup. All right, let's see how these are. Look at how beautiful these look. Okay, so, I also made some little ones, like donut holes. These are perfect, just like this. They're so good. And because they're smaller, they get crunchier on the outside. Delicious. Okay, before I fill them, let me show you how one of them looks on the inside. Let me cut one. And yes, of course, I could tear it like everybody does on Instagram for the effect. But I'll do that when they're filled. But when you cut bread, see, it does not smell yeasty at all. It's really fluffy. I can actually smell a little bit of the orange and the cinnamon. But there's no yeast, and that's important. There is not like a beer smell. There's nothing like that. So that means that it's not gonna be super heavy on our stomachs because the yeast has already been, has matured and died. So I'm gonna start filling them up. These are good, just like this. Let's see. Got a taste, right? All right. Okay, so to fill them, like I said, I have Nutella and my pastry cream. Now, for the love of me, I cannot find anywhere the piping tip that is perfect to fill donuts, or bomboloni in this case, but I'm gonna put a picture here so that you get it. I know I used it for a class and now I can't find it. But if that's the case also for you, in one of them I have a star tip, like a very thin star tip, and in the other one I have a regular round tip, not too big so that I don't make a big mess. I prefer to go slowly and fill it than just go over and like maybe crack the donut. So I'm gonna pick one side, okay? And then I'm gonna insert the tip and basically pipe. Okay, for the pastry cream, if you want, you can just simply maybe add a little hole with your knife so that the piping tip goes easier inside. Insert, fill, and when you see that's coming out, that's when you stop. Okay? Okay, my friends, we are done. Look at this beauty. Should we try them? Of course. Taste, 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 right? Check this out. Oh, obviously, I have to taste. It's amazing. Look at that. Look at this. It's incredible. I love it. Well, I really hope you liked the video. I hope you make this recipe for your friends and family, with your kids, with your loved ones, for Carnaval, Carnevale, or for any other time of the year. And Dad, well, you know, I'm bringing these to my dad and my mom right now. All right, let me know if there's any technique or any recipe that you'd like to know or you would like to tackle. I would love to make a video about that. And for those that requested a video about risotto, don't worry, I'm working on it. It's coming up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy them. Happy Carnevale.